What's up, guys? So I got another label spotlight video for you. This is my second take filming this damn thing. 'Cause the first time I went to do it, I went to go upload a video and bam, I got a copyright claim. So that's annoying. So having to do this again kind of sucks, but whatever. So hopefully this is worth the effort, I guess. But first, what we're listening to, if they copyright this, that'll be hilarious if this actually gets a claim on it. So this is Beheaded at the Devil Studio in 1990. So you just have the track listing is called Rehearsal, Grave Desecration, Vengeance, At the Devil's Chorus, Nocturnal Evil, Hose of Bethlehem, Witchcraft, The Oath of Black Blood, 6 Days with Statistics, Slaughter, and to make something else, yeah. So there's that. Is this the best material? No, not really, but just a cool relic, I guess, to hear them in their super early days. But yep, I'm sure they are definitely one of the I guess bigger cult bands within Finnish black metal. So if you know your early 90s Finnish black metal, it's definitely one of the bigger bands in that name, I guess. And unlike when I usually do a list, I usually have them in alphabetical order, but that seemed kind of weird considering I'm going through a specific label. So I figured it would be best to do it through the years with alphabetical orders. It would have been kind of odd to do. Alright, here's one from 98, and 98, and 94, and 2001, and 2014, and 95. I was doing them by year made more sense. So if you see me looking down, I have all the 20 written down so I can know what year it is, so I don't screw something up. So let's get into it. And these aren't in any order of favoritism, obviously, but whatever. So this is Benediction with Subconscious Terror. So this is the only one from 1990 on my list. I've honestly never been a huge Benediction fan. I've always kind of thought of them as the second tier, or Oathbreaker Jr., which is kind of true, but I mean their first 3 albums are good, but after Transcend the Rubicon, not really my thing. But I don't know, the first 3 are good. I prefer probably the Grand Leveler is probably my favorite. That's the second record. That's from 92, I think. But that's the only one I have of the first 3, so yeah. If you like the super heavy, kind of chunky, mid-paced death metal from the UK, this is definitely a good record, but not super groundbreaking or amazing or anything, but still good though, so yeah. This is also a Back on Black reissue, so some of these were going to be put on different labels, but I'll mention which label it was. I'll mention which label the new pressing is or whatever, so yeah. There you go. Benediction, Subconscious Terror. Alright, so I got the next 2 in a row, both from 1991. So let's go to Austria, I believe. Pungent Stench, Ben Caught Buttering. So this is their first album. No, this is the second one. The first one was For God You Soul For Me Your Flesh, that came out in 1990. I prefer this record to that one, honestly, but I like most of their records. They have only one that's kind of boring, but the rest of them are pretty good. So yeah, Pungent Stench, they're definitely, I would say, and I would say compared to Autopsy maybe, but I would say they're even kind of more gross and slightly weirder too, which they have some death and roll elements going on, but I would say it's more in the vein of Yzma than say Wolverine Blues. It doesn't have the Swedish sound. It's definitely more kind of groovy and chunky and more perverse sounding, and almost doesn't have the hard rockness of death and roll, I guess, but just has some of that mid-paced chunky grossness. But yeah, this is a 2018 Back on Black reissue, so there's that. But yeah, anyway, there's a front. Very, I would say, iconic cover art, especially for early 90s death metal. So anyway, there you go. There's that. I love their logo, too. In the back, guys in the band. This is a gatefold. Again, guys in the band, with the blood splatter lyrics. And then this is just on a cool silver. So yeah, man, I feel like this super kind of gross and chunky, nasty shit. This is a awesome record. So can't go, like I said, you can't go wrong with most of their stuff. This one is definitely my favorite. So if you like the super gross, chunky, weird stuff, this is a awesome record. So there you go, Pungent Stench, Bangkok Buttering, 1991. And your last one from 1991. Master, On the Seventh Day God Created Master. So I'm not sure why they don't really get mentioned as often as a lot of the like bigger US death metal bands like Morbid Angel, Deicide, Obituary, Cannibal Corpse. I mean, they've been there from the beginning. Their debut, I think, was 89 or 90, so they're definitely one of the OGs from that scene, but I still think they get kind of left to the side for some reason. I'm not really sure why. Maybe because I think they've had a lot of member changes, and apparently they're like the main guy, Paul Speckman, that apparently he moved to the Czech Republic a few years ago, so that's pretty interesting. I'm not sure why he moved, but yeah. So they are one of the few death metal bands, well, not one of the few, but like, especially from the US, like, they kind of never ditched their thrash element, which a lot of the other bands like Cannibal, Morbid Angel, Deicide, after their debut, they kind of left all the thrash out the window and just went straight to death metal. But these guys, they never really ditched their thrash. It was always part of a sound, no matter how far you go in their category. Chronologically, I mean, there's always some death metal left, but yeah. This is still my favorite, though. If I have one complaint, it's the kick drum sound. It's pretty terrible. Sounds like he's hitting like plastic spoons instead of an actual kick drum, but I'm definitely not the first person to complain about it, though. I've seen other people mention that too, but yeah. Anyway, cool cover. It's like a Stonehenge replica kind of with the two guys. Anyway, there's the front. There's a Hammerheart reissue from doesn't say what year, but oh well, so there you go. There's the front. And the back again, Hammerheart. Lyric sheet. There's Paul Speckman, I'm assuming, because he's the main guy. And the color of the vinyl is just black, and the labels are boring as hell, but there they are anyway. So man, if you like just super thrashy, high energy death metal, this is an awesome record. Honestly, you can't go wrong with their first like 5 or 6 albums are all killer, but yeah, this one's definitely the peak in my opinion. So there you go, Master, On the Seventh Day God Created Master, 1991. So a couple of these bands aren't my favorite record by the band, but I decided to choose something different because I've talked about my favorite a bunch, and this is one of those examples where I decided to pull my second favorite because my favorite I've actually mentioned a bunch. So this is a run of... This is going to be a run of 5 in a row from 1992, so that's interesting. Sinister Cross the Sticks. Like I've said, I've mentioned Diabolical Summoning a bunch, so I wanted to be different and mention this, but honestly, Sinister, you can't go wrong with most of their albums. They only have like 1 or 2 that are kind of boring, but I don't think they have a bad album. They have a couple that was like slightly uninspired, but as far as like horrible, they've never done like an Illud Divinum Insanus, so they've definitely never been that bad, but yeah. So this record, I would say, they, even unlike the earliest outing, they were definitely one of the few bands where even their debut, all the thrash was basically gone. Like, you heard a little bit in the demos, but by the time you got to their first album, all the thrash was basically out the window, so they just went straight forward death metal from here on out, which I would argue, like, Hate and Diabolical Summoning, they got even more, almost towards, like, Suffocation or Cannibal Corpse, but this one I would say is the most, like, just straight up Floridian sounding, but oh, well, that's cool though. So yep, definitely a classic. And if you know your early Dutch death metal, this is definitely one of the bigger bands in the scene. Though I would argue Asphyx is probably the most well known, but I would say these guys are definitely neck and neck as far as popularity goes. But anyway, so there's the front of that, really cool. And obviously Asphyx was only on Century Media, so I can't mention them today, but oh well. Anyway, there's that. I like the logo too. Then the back, guys in the band. There's a Cosmic Key Creations 2018 reissue, and that's when I bought it because they repressed the first 3, I think, and that's when I got all 3 of them. Lyric sheet. And then, nice orange. Love how it matches this, it's pretty sweet. So man, if you like just no bullshit early, well I would say compared to like Gorefest and Asphyx, they were definitely more in your face with both those bands. They had faster moments, but they never got like blasty where these guys, especially later on, they were definitely the most intensive, I would say, the Netherlands big three, if you want to call it. But yeah. So again, if you like super awesome early 90s death metal, definitely one of the better records from the Dutch scene. But there you go. Sinister Cross the Sticks. So let me see what the next one is. Okay, so this one is one of two where, actually, these next two in a row, a different label did the CDs originally, but the OG LPs will put out the Nuclear Blast, so I'm kind of counting that, I guess. You could say it's like kind of not right, but since it's the first LP was on Nuclear Blast, it's good enough for me, I guess. This is Winter with their only full-length album, Into Darkness, so this is definitely a classic of early Death Doom. I mean, this came out in, yeah, 92, so it's before, was it before the first Paradise Lost? I think the, I think As the Flower Withers, no, it's My Dying Bride. Yeah, I think Gothic was, whatever the first Paradise Lost record was called, that was 92, I think, also. So they were definitely around the same time, because obviously up to this point, death metal was about being fast in your face, where these guys took it back to almost like Sabbath influence, I guess, was like super doomy, but obviously added the, like, death metal vocals, which is very unique. I mean, a lot of bands have carried this sound to the last like 30 years or whatever, but this is definitely one of the better albums to influence that scene. I mean, even look at the album cover, you basically can tell what it looks like from the album cover. It's definitely like super gloomy and sad, which is a very appropriate thing on this. And I would also argue this is almost like an Autopsy album, but played at like, say if a normal Autopsy album was played at 33 RPM, this would be like an Autopsy record played at like 10 RPM, so it's almost, but I would say, unlike Autopsy, I would say just more dark and less gross, I guess. So it doesn't like have any of the like disgustingness of Autopsy, but just that general vibe though, it's kind of similar but different in a way. But anyway, so there's the front, awesome, very desolated looking album cover. Then the back, this is a Sfard Records reissue from like 2 or 3 years ago. And this version also has the EP with it too, but they're both on the same records, same color, so I'm not going to bother pulling that out, but there's the vinyl. And then this comes with a booklet with a bunch of pictures and stuff. Show with Death and Devastation. Motherfucker. Whatever, you get it. So yeah, man, if you like Death Doom and you want to know like one of the OGs, if you're wondering where that scene came from, along with the first Paradise Lost and the first My Dying Bride, definitely I would say the three founders of that scene. So yeah, at least the bigger ones. I'm sure there's some other bands that came along around the same time too, but those are definitely the three biggest. So anyway, there you go, classic record, Winter Into Darkness. Alrighty, so this is the other album that the OG CD was put out through a different label. It was originally put out through Relapse on the CD, but the vinyl was put out through Nuclear Blast, so again, kind of cheating, but oh well. This is Amorphous with the Carillion Isthmus. So like I said, the OG CD put out through Relapse, but this is a Relapse reissue too, so oh well, but yeah. I would say this and the Privilege of Evil EP, arguably the only truly death metal albums, because after this they did Tales from the Thousand Lake, which I love it, but it's almost like melodic proggy death, I guess, because they had like more like slow moments and they added the keys and like a lot more melodic and a little bit of like clean singing too, so definitely a far cry even from this. So it's like 2 years in between. 2 years in between, they sound like a completely different band already, but oh well. So yep, definitely I would say, even though I feel like Tales gets the most love, this album's pretty underrated in the Finnish scene in my opinion. When people mention like the old Finnish albums, this one doesn't seem to get mentioned that often. I'm not really sure why. Maybe because most of the catalog isn't really death metal, so that kind of helps too, but yeah. People seem to mention like the Demolic and Sentenced and like, not Carnifex, Convulse and like Demigod, they seem to mention all 4 of those a lot more than this one gets mentioned, but I still think this one is definitely up there as far as being one of the best full lengths from that scene. At least for me it is, but anyway. Yep, there you go, there's the front. I love that painting too, it's pretty sweet. Nice, the old logo was pretty awesome too. There you go. Nice painting, so there you go, there's the front. Then the back. Yeah, this is a Relapse reissue from 2018. Yeah, it says 92, 2011 to 18, so I'm assuming those are the 3 years it was pressed or vinyl release, so almost a 20-year break between the first press and the reissue. Not sure why, but oh well. Here is the inner sheet, again with kind of a, it's like the bottom of this image. That'd be a pretty cool t-shirt. And then the color of the vinyl on this one, I believe, is just black. Yep, just black, but those are the labels. Another image from the actual album. So man, don't sleep on this if you don't like their modern stuff. If you like only heard like something from the 2000s, you're like, oh, I don't really like that sound. Definitely go back to this and the Privilege of Evil EP. If you want, they're just like straightforward, more just kind of raw death metal. So anyway, great record that I don't think should be ignored as often as it sadly is, but oh well. Amorphous, the Carillion Isthmus. Alrighty, so last 2 from 92. I mentioned these guys earlier. Gorefest False. Their debut, what was it called? Mind Loss is my favorite by them, but that was put out through Foundation 2000, so obviously I couldn't include that one, but yeah. So Gorefest, their first 2 albums and their last 2 were awesome. They had a few in between where they kind of lost. They started getting like really weird around like after this album. They put out a couple that were pretty bad, but at least their 2 Return to Form records were great though. So I would say definitely, I would say this is like, compared to something I've mentioned so far, kind of in like the Benediction vein, but honestly 1,000 times better than Benediction. But I mean, I would say they definitely have one of like the better vocalists as far as death metal goes, at least for like this style. He fits music perfectly. But yeah, so I would say this is like more let's say, honestly this could be a good comparison I make to Grave. So like Into the Grave is their super fast record, so like the Mind Loss could be the version of Into the Grave, where False is almost like the version of You'll Never See. It's like the mixture of the faster stuff with like going into the other groovy direction, but they never made a version of Solar Face went from this to straight being weird and honestly not good. But yeah, hang on a second, I started to fix those lights. But yeah, so definitely I would say if you want the good mixture of their like faster mixed with slow, this is definitely a good record. Anyway, those are fun. Sorry about that stupid glare. Then the back, this is a Nuclear Blast pressing. Does not say what year, so that's not very helpful, but oh well. Anyway, there you go on that. Little lyrics sheet and whatever, guys in the band. So yeah, man, when it comes to Gorefest, like I said, the first 2 records and the last 2 were awesome, so especially this killer comeback and definitely an awesome way to end their career. This is Rise to Ruin from 2007, I believe. This is also put out through Nuclear Blast. I could have mentioned this too, but yeah, definitely one of the better like last albums or whatever. So great way to go out. But like I said, Mind Loss is my favorite, but you can't go wrong with the first 2 or last 2. So anyway, that's Gorefest False. Great shit. Next up is definitely going to be a band that you all knew they had to be in here. You just needed to guess which one. Like I said, I've mentioned this band's debut. a bajillion times, so I didn't want to mention that again, so I decided to post something different. And luckily, everything they did was put out the Nuclear Blast, so it gave me like an easy option to choose which one. But I gotta go with this. I mean, obviously you know that they were gonna be on the list, but so this is Dismember with the Pieces EP from 1992. Yeah. So obviously this is in between Like an Outflowing Stream and Indecent and Obscene, which of all the albums, if you like not familiar with Dismember and you want to get into them, I definitely do not suggest to start here. Honestly, it's definitely, I would say, the like most rough around the edges sounding, like at least like official thing that's not a demo. I mean it because the guitar tone is super harsh and like buzzsaw, like even more than like the early, like even more than the first album. So it took me a few listens to get into it. When I first heard this, I was like, what the hell is that? I thought like the headphones were broken or whatever. But once you get used to it, the songs are great though, so that's all that matters. But anyway, I really need a t-shirt of that too. That's an awesome cover. It's definitely, I would say, one of the most iconic cover arts for death metal. At least for me it is. Anyway, there's the front, then the back. I mean, we all know what Dismember sounds like, so no point in me going super in-depth into this. But yeah, I believe Soon to Be Dead ended up on one of the full lengths. I don't remember offhand, but don't quote me on that. I think it did, 'cause that looks familiar, but yeah. Obviously, this is the Nuclear Blast reissue from the box set for last year, or from last year rather. I don't know why they chose that color, but oh well. That was pretty funny when you play this, you see the spinning heads rotating. So yeah, that's sweet. Come on, lyrics, yeah. And here's the lyrics and then the guys in the band. See, man, is this my favorite Dismember record? No, but I wanted to be different, not mention the first two full lengths again. But yeah, but like I said, I've mentioned before, you can't go wrong with any of this stuff. But this is definitely one of my favorite EPs, though, which I will eventually do like a favorite EPs video. So this will probably be mentioned again, but oh well. So yep, definitely one of the best, but you all know that anyway, so I don't need to go into that too much. Dismember Pieces, fucking fantastic. Alrighty, so these next two are from 1993. Take a sip of this. Cheers. Alrighty, so 1993, like I said, another underrated gem in my opinion that doesn't get the love it deserves, but I would say even a lot more underrated than that Amorphous album, but from Sweden this time. I know, shocker, another band from Sweden. Afflicted Prodigal Son. So you can tell by the album cover they were definitely not your standard death metal band. I mean, they look like they could be like a prog band like Pink Floyd or something, which honestly I would say this is almost like the Killing Technology by Voivod of death metal, I guess. So it's like kind of weird, like progressive death thrash, I guess. So if you like stuff like Voivod or even Coroner, but more death metal sounding and even kind of more out there, it's definitely an awesome record. I think the reason this didn't get enough love was because it didn't get reissued for 31 years. I mean, the only two pressings were from 1992 when it came out, and this got reissued from Century Media last year, so it took them 31 years to do another pressing, so that definitely doesn't help anything, but oh well. I don't know if they were one and done, but if they were, then cool. I haven't heard anything after this, so don't quote me on that, but yeah. Like I said, this is a Century Media reissue from last year. I've been looking for the LP for a long time, and it was always super expensive, but when I saw the CD for sale, I'm like, I decided to snap it up and not bother looking for the LP, but I haven't seen how much the vinyl goes for now, but I'll check again Sunday, I guess. Yeah. This the little booklet, I guess. Cool pictures. So yeah, man, if you like stuff like Voivod or Coroner and you want them to be like a Swedish death metal album, this is definitely one of the better, less talked about albums from the Swedish scene in my opinion. So there you go, check that out. Afflicted Prodigal Son. killer stuff, and hopefully it's finally actually available and not like $200. This is definitely going to be one of the, probably the most divisive album I'm going to talk about today. This is either something you love or completely hate, mainly for a couple reasons, which we'll get into. But this record's, I think, loads of fun, but I definitely can see why people don't like this album, or this band in general. This is Macabre with Sinister Slaughter. So, these guys are from Chicago. They're almost like, what would you call it, like, death thrash grind. They're almost like too death metal sounding to be a thrash band, but they're like too thrashy to be a death metal band, but they're playing so fast and crazy that they're almost grind. So it's like they don't really fit in any of those pockets. They definitely, I would say, have their own sound, which they call themselves murder metal, which is, I would think, very appropriate, because obviously every album they do is basically based off of different serial killers, I guess. So yeah, you can even see on the back of this, so it's like the track listing and who it's based off of. So I'll read some of these. You got like the Zodiac, obviously. What the Hell Do You Do? James Edward Pooh. Mary Bell with the Reprise 9, Mary Bell. Killing Spree, Patrick Shuprell. Is It Soup Yet? Daniel Racolizzi. Gacy's Law, John Wayne Gacy. Vampires, Dusseldorf, Peter Cookton. What's That Smell? Jeffrey Dahmer. And then later they did a full album that was basically based on Jeffrey Dahmer, which that record is called Dahmer, obviously. So yeah. Not my favorite Macabre, that would honestly be the Grim Reality EP from 87, I think. 87, 88. My favorite full length is actually the debut Gloom, but I would say this is the only one I have for now. This is the only one that made the list, but yeah, man. And besides the honestly kind of fucked up lyrics and stuff, I think another reason why people don't like this is because of the vocals. They were super, like, insanely wacky, and kind of at first you're like, what the hell am I listening to? Because it's like super, like, out there. He literally sounds like he's getting stabbed by someone. He's like screaming, and not in a very like traditional way. It's almost like super like pitched, like pain yells mixed with some of the, like, deeper death metal typical stuff. But yeah, definitely a very unique band you either love or hate, but I still think they're loads of fun. But I definitely get the distaste anyway. But there you go. There's the front. Obviously a parody of the Beatles album, but everyone's a serial killer, so it's almost like Where's Waldo, kind of. But instead of Where's Waldo, it's like Where's the Murderer, I guess. But anyway, there's the front. Very cool. Then the back, guys, the band eating some dead shit. And you got the kitty eating some dead stuff too, so that's sweet. Put that through a Nuclear Blast 2023 reissue. I just wish, I don't know if they did any of the earlier stuff, but this was the only one I saw mentioned when they get repressed, so I believe they probably just did this. So if anyone from Nuclear Blast is watching, can you please repress the Gloom full-length and the Grim Reality EP? Thank you, that would be sweet. Anyway, there's a gatefold, so you can read those crazy wacko lyrics. And then here was the record. You can see the Zodiac Killers on the center labels, so that's definitely interesting. It almost looks like clown splatter. It kind of matches like the color of like the grass, or not the grass, but like the blood in the sky, so that's sweet. So man, definitely a very unique band. Not for everybody, but if you can get into super crazy wacko vocals about stuff that's honestly kind of fucked, this is a good record, but like I said, not for everybody. So there you go, Macabre, Sinister Slaughter. Alrighty, so another band I'm sure you saw from a mile away. They would have to be included because I've mentioned them. They're one of my favorite bands, top 10 definitely, probably. But it's just a matter of which one. Because like just remember, every album they did was put out through Nuclear Blast, so it gave me a nice wide choices. I almost went with the second album because I've mentioned this one a couple times, but I decided to be truthful and pick my actual favorite. This is from 1993, so the last album from 1993. Hypocrisy, The Fourth Dimension. For such a killer album, I've also thought this album cover was kind of lazy. It's like, really, the first two had awesome paintings, but honestly, now that I think about it, most of the artwork isn't very good, but I mean, for an album that kicks us that kicks so much ass. You could come up with something better. I mean, comparing this. Where's the blah, 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 blah. I mean, look. This is awesome. This is shit. I don't know why, but maybe they're trying to be funny, but it's kind of dumb. But oh well. So back to the actual music, 'cause that's the important part. I don't know why I'm in a ranty mood today, but oh well. So this, it always kind of bugs me. It's called The Fourth Dimension, despite being their third album. Which, yes, I know they have the Pleasures of Molestation EP demo thing, so maybe that's why it's called The Fourth Dimension. But it's still their third actual full length. So oh well, it's another nitpick, but that's just me being nitpicky, I guess. But yeah, so I would say, well, this is their first record that had Peter Tagline on vocals, obviously. So at least for me, it's like where they actually became like their own entity, I guess. As great as the first two were, let's be honest, the first two are basically just them paying homage to like US and specifically like Floridian style death metal, especially like early like Malevolent Creation. But this one was definitely where they founded their own sound. That would say compared to the first two, it definitely has some more like slower moments, and they kind of got rid of the almost like HM2 style guitar, where they have like this one has like a thicker, like kind of heavier guitar sound, but it's pretty sweet though. Honestly, if I had to make a list of some like my top 15 Hypocrisy songs, whatever, I could easily choose like 5 from this record. It'd be like Mind Corruption, Reincarnation, Reborn, Path to Babylon, Slaughtered, and Orgy of Blood. So that's 6. Literally 6 of the songs on this album could have made my top 15 songs by them. So that's definitely a good sign that this record rules. But to pick only one favorite, probably the first track on side 2, Reborn. I love the opening riff. But Mind Corruption is definitely the fan favorite, because that's the only song they put out for this when I saw them. I was hoping they would play a couple more, but oh, I know they have a lot of records, so I don't blame them though. But anyway, and I have one nitpick with this album. It's a double LP, but it doesn't really need to be. But it sounds fantastic, but just one slightly little nitpick though. But at least it sounds great. It's just the important thing. Just like it's just me being kind of lazy and I want to have to flip it over a bunch. But oh well. So the sound quality is the important part, I guess, at the end of the day. But yep. Anyway, Fret Again. Not great artwork, but oh well, the music's the important part. There's the back, the guys in the band. So their last album, well, this is their first album as a 3-piece, because their first vocalist, he left to join Dark Funeral, I believe that's where he went. I know he was in the band for a while, but I don't remember if he went straight from Hypocrisy to Dark Funeral, so don't quote me on that, but oh well. This is a 2023 Nuclear Blast reissue, if I did not mention that already. Gatefold, super iconic photo. Is that the lyrics? No, that's just like the credits of who wrote what song or whatever. Double OP, but they're both. This looks super pink on camera, but it's more like actually orange. It just looks really pink because of the lighting. Let's see if we can get that better. Yeah, it definitely looks more orange, but it looks matches pretty good, so it's nice. So man, definitely my favorite record by them, but honestly, and the only album I don't like is Catch-22, which is that's almost like their version of Reign Chaos as far as I'm concerned, but everything else they've done is at least good to great. This is definitely one of the best, so yep. Check it out. Hypocrisy, The Fourth Dimension, great record. But like I said, most of the stuff is awesome. Alright, so let's go to 1997 for this next one. And yes, I know I'm skipping Storm of the Lights Bank, Don't Shoot Me, but I've mentioned that record a bajillion times. I don't want to mention it for another 100th time, but obviously that would have been like #1 on this list, but like I said, I didn't want to just show a bunch of stuff I've shown a bajillion times, so I want to keep it more interesting. But obviously that should have been #1, but oh well, like I said, I just want to keep it more interesting. So this one, I'm sure people are going to roll their eyes at, but I do not give a flippity fuck. This album is awesome, but definitely not for everybody. So I can already hear people's eyes rolling, but I don't care. This record rules. Hammerfall, Glory to the Braves, 1997, their debut album after Oscar left. Crystal Age and Ceremonial Oath, I believe. He has death metal projects, which kind of interesting to go from death metal to power metal, but oh well. Though I would argue they're definitely, I would say for me, they're closer to almost like straight up just traditional heavy metal, because they don't have a lot of the like super cheesy elements that most power metal bands do, but they're definitely like more grounded in like your straight up traditional 80s metal, but with like a late 90s modern flair, I guess, instead of like your traditional like swords and dragons or whatever cheesiness. But yeah, great record. Probably my favorite record by them, though the follow-up does have my favorite song by them, but oh well. I mean, if you want to give them actually a chance, not just go by what they're labeled, listen to the song Steel Meets Steel. It's definitely one of the best. Steel meets steel. Dun, 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 dun. Steel meets steel. So if you're willing to give this a chance, at least listen to that one song and then come back to me. If you hate it, then fair enough, but oh well, I personally think this is awesome. But yeah, I think for some reason they went to Nuclear Blast, went to Napalm, and they're back on Nuclear Blast again. So not sure why they flip-flopped and came back, but oh well. So yep, anyway, there's the front. And the time of me filming this, they actually put out the new album today, which is pretty good. But yeah, I like the previous one better, but it's story for a different day, I guess. But anyway, there's the front. I love that cover art too, definitely one of the better power metal artworks. But yeah, anyway, there you go, there's the front. Then the back, this is a Back on Black 2013, no, 2018 reissue put out through Back on Black. Shit. Who Back on Black seems to get a bad rap, but all the stuff I have by them sounds great, so I can't really complain too much. Gatefold, kind of hard to read what that says, but oh well. And then this version on a cool white and black orange splatter thing. So man, if you have an open mind, you're actually willing to get something to listen, that's not your usual bad, give us a chance. Like I said, at least listen to one song, Steel Meets Steel, before you make up your mind if you think this record sucks. But anyway, there you go. Hammerfall, Glory to the Brave. Great record, at least for me it is. 1999 is this next one. Again, not one of my favorites from this band, but I don't think their first three were actually on Nuclear Blast, which maybe they were, but I think their debut was on like Cacophonous or Napalm or something, so. But anyway. So this is Bowser Goth with the Power Cosmics. Power Cosmic, rather. So these guys were a, like, power metal with, like, like symphonic black metal mixed with power metal and death metal, I guess, is what they played on like the earlier stuff. But their last two records, they were like super focused on being like a lot of like background vocals and like super like theatrical, where they kind of lost the plot. Their last two, they got too goofy. But for me, this is their last record before they kind of went like too kind of odd with it. But yeah, like I said, the first three are definitely better. I think my favorite's probably their third record, Battle Magic, or the debut, what's that one called? A Black Moon Broads Over Lemuria. That's my other favorite. That one definitely has the most death metal influences of their albums, but yeah. So yeah, if he's like super kind of very unique sounding, like symphonic black metal mixed with a little bit of power metal, this is definitely a awesome record. It's mostly power metal musically is what I mean. It's not like, they don't do like the Blind Guardian vocals or whatever, but yeah, you know what I mean if you know the Bowser Goth. Anyway, there's the front. In the back, even though a couple song titles are ridiculous, this probably has the like least crazy song titles. Like there's some that like literally they have one album was like here to here would be like one song title, but this one, the probably most crazy one, is Behold the Armies of War Descend Screaming from to the Heavens. So that's probably like the craziest one, but anyway. This is a No Survivors something house product. What's it say? Man, I can't even hardly read what the hell that says, but anyway. This is Dissonant Productions / No Survivors. I've never heard of any of those labels, but okay. So there's that. and then little booklet, lyrics and other stuff. So man, if you want like a power metal kind of weirder version of Emperor, I guess this is maybe a good comparison, but they definitely have their own unique sound though, which I know. I think when they broke up, some of the other guys formed a new band in a style, but it wasn't really that good. But yeah, definitely I still think that, so I suggest stick to the first 4 though. But yeah, but like I said, the first 3 are still better though. So anyway, that is Balsagoth with the Power Cosmic. Let's still got a few more left. Whatever, I'm going through this pretty good. So this is a band where after their first 4 albums, they got mostly kind of boring, but after the first 3, this is by far my favorite. There's Destruction with Antichrist. Yeah, the Antichrist from 2001. So like I said, after Crack Brain, most of the albums are kind of like whatever, but this one slays though. I mean, it has 2 of the best songs, Curse of the Gods, not Curse of the Gods, wow. Nailed to the Cross and Thrash Till Death. It's been a long day, guys. I'm sorry. That was kind of dumb, but yeah. Like I said, Thrash Till Death and Nailed to the Cross, definitely 2 of the best songs, but another favorite is Dictators of Cruelty. It's another hype, but yeah. For some reason, I'm not sure what happened. Like, the album before this and after this were kind of whatever, but this one completely slays. I'm not sure what the hell happened, but oh well, yeah. Again, but though, like I said, after this, most of the stuff is kind of whatever. But I did like their last record. That was a good surprise. But like I said, I'll still stick to the first 4 in this one. But yep. Destruction, Antichrist, definitely their best of the 2000s by a country mile. So there you go. Rules. So this band, I did not even know they had an album on Nuclear Blast. This was definitely an interesting find when I was doing research for this video. I just assumed they were either on like Roadrunner or Black Mark the entire time, but very interesting that they actually had an album on Nuclear Blast, so I could mention this in this video. So this is from 2004. This is War Call from Malevolent Creation. So this is from this version is from the 2 CD little box set thing, which I will show you in a second. Fuck it, I'll do that later. So obviously it has War Call and Will to Kill. This one I definitely prefer, but I'm not talking about that right now. So, War Call, I forget who did vocals in that. Was that Brett Hoffman? I don't remember, because I know he left and came back like 3 different times. I don't remember if it was, I think it was Kyle on that album, but oh well. So I would say compared to Will to Kill, War Call's definitely, I would say they're more, almost like, slightly more melodic and less like super fast in your face record. Will to Kill's definitely one of their fastest, but War Call's good too, but it's definitely like more slowed down and more like almost like epic and crushing, where they didn't focus on speed that much, but they're all faster moments though. But yeah, so definitely, I'm not sure why Malevolent never seems to get mentioned after their first 3 records, which is a damn shame. I've mentioned before, I don't think they have a bad record, but these are definitely 2 of their best though. So yep, definitely another band that should not be slept on their later material, but I think their stuff after Stillborn definitely should get way more love. But anyway, so yep. What's this called? This is called the Nuclear Blast recording. So that's sweet. So I guess maybe both were on Nuclear Blast. So my bad. But anyway, yep, sweet. So Malevolent Creation, War Call, and Will to Kill. Great records. Those are both some of the best of the 2000s. Though my favorite after the first 3 is probably The Fine Art of Murder, though. It's arguably maybe their best record, at least, like, best after the first 2. It's hard to say, because beating the Retribution 10 Commandments are pretty tough. Those both completely slay. Alright, so this is one of the few albums in this, let me see. Yeah, this is, like, well, this is definitely, I would say, well, this band, I think, was it? Yeah. Alrighty, next up we're going to record from 2007. So this band didn't start Nuclear Blast. Their first 4-1 relapse. They went to Nuclear Blast for their last 5, I believe, and then their most recent record's coming out soon is going to be on Napalm. So I think you know who we're talking about. This is Nile with their 5th album, Epiphallic. Maybe my favorite Nile record, though I do have a soft spot for Annihilation of the Wicked, because that was honestly like the first like almost more brutal death metal album I ever heard back in the day, and honestly one of the first death metal albums I ever heard, period. So that one tends to be like, I would say probably my favorite, but in reality I've listened to this one, I would say the most of all the albums the last like couple years. This one seems to happens getting the most spins for me. Not really sure why, but oh well. I mean, just have some of the best songs, like As He Creates, So He Destroys is definitely one of my favorites. The Infinity of Stone. Papyrus contained the spell to preserve its possessor against attacks from he who is in the water. Holy fuck, that's a mouthful, goddamn. But yeah, those are definitely my 3 favorites on this record, but yeah. So of their like Nuclear Blast era, definitely my favorite, though I would say my second favorite of the Nuclear Blast albums is honestly their last record from 2019. Vile Neurotic Rites, I think, was their best album since this, but yeah. So anyway, there's the front. I love the logo too. Mainly, I've always been interested in Nile because I've always had like a fascination with like Egyptian stuff, so them kind of doing that in like unique angle always had me interested, so that's pretty cool too. So anyway, there's the front. Again, love that simple Egyptian style artwork. Then the back on black. Reissue from 2018. I mean, the new album, the cover sucks, but the title's awesome. The underworld will await us all. That's sweet. 3-piece, you got George, Carl, and Dallas, which the only thing I miss about the last album is I miss Dallas's vocals. He was definitely easily my favorite vocalist of the band, but oh well, so. The last record was great though, so can't complain too much. There you go. There you got the like white, the clear, and orange yellow mixture, I guess. It's a double LP. They're both the same. So I'm not gonna bother pulling that out. But yeah, man, definitely one of the best. Arguably my favorite, but hard to say because Annihilation of the Wicked is right there. But they're both neck and neck. But anyway, there you go. Nile Epiphallic. Great record. Like I said, they don't have a bad record, though. At the Gates of Seth, it was the least great, but still pretty good. I suppose it was actually produced not terribly. Alrighty, last 4 of them were done. Yeah, I just realized the last 4 bands are all like veteran death metal bands putting out great records later in their career, so bravo. So this is from 2011, going to Poland. So you know who we're mentioning. No, it's not Decapitated. It's Veta. Welcome to the Morbid Reich. So after, I would say probably post Litany, this is my favorite record by them, or at least after the first 5, I think? No. Ultimate Incantation, De Profundis, Back to the Blind, Litany. So, okay, after the first 4, that's the first 4, so this, if I had to pick a number 5 favorite, this is definitely it. But yeah, man. This has some of my favorite songs, but then like Come and See My Sacrifice is definitely like honestly a top 5 Vader song. If I Had a Dream, another favorite. The title track. They're Coming. Decapitated Saints. But yeah, man. The previous record, Necropolis, was good, but I feel like they kind of like. There was a few albums where they got kind of slower for a little bit, but this record they went full pedal to the metal again and brought back a lot of the intensity that was kind of missing on some of those like mid-2000s albums. But yeah, anyway. Again, not very great cover up, but I don't know. It's kind of boring and kind of odd looking, but oh well. Like I said, the music's what's important. So it's not really the full point, I guess. But anyway, there you go. There's that. Then the back. This is again another Back on Black reissue. Didn't realize how many of these were put out through Back on Black. So this is a 2019 pressing. Let me show that better. There you go. gatefold with that same kind of weird artwork, and it's the lyrics. And then this version is on like another like almost looks like clown snot, but matches the cover kind of. So it's like clear with like red and black splatter, I guess. But so man, if you thought Vader kind of lost the plot after like Impressions in Blood or Necropolis, this is definitely easily the best since Litany. But yep, check it out. Vader, Welcome to the Morbid Reich. Great record. And they're best since they've been on Nuclear Blast. So I think they've been on Nuclear Blast since Impressions in Blood. It was either that or Necropolis when they've been on Nuclear Blast, because I know the first album was on Earache, so yeah. Which they need to repress the third record, drawn on the name, but you know what I mean. The one from '97 that has Cardinal on it, but Back to the Blind, yes, they need to reissue Back to the Blind. So if anybody who's watching, please reissue that album. I need to press badly. Alright, so this is a, I guess you could say, return to form album from this band, because the previous one came out in 1996, and I honestly kind of think it sucks a lot, but this one was a good return to form, and honestly, they had been away since 96, so almost like 20 years later. I'm sure a lot of people kind of wrote them off and weren't expecting them to make a good record, but man, they came back with a total banger. Obviously, this is Carcass Surgical Steel. So definitely, I would say I like this better than Torn Arteries, which Torn was awesome too. But for me, this is, I would say, like more thrashy and faster than Torn. Which I would say, this is like, I would say, the bridge between Horror Work and Necroticism, where I would say Torn was almost like the bridge between Horror Work and Swan Song, because this doesn't really have any of like the groovy moments. Though I would say Account Juliet Cult of Blood is, I would probably like the grooviest, but that's almost like this album's version of No Love Lost, kind of, but I think a way better song than No Love Lost, but yeah. But besides that, another highlight, the one is called 12 Standard. I'm not going to attempt to read that weird science term thing, but I just call that one 12 Standard. Unfit for Human Consumption is another great one. Captive Bolt Pistol. The bonus tracks aren't really that great, so I never really spin that, but luckily it's on the separate LP, so it's easy to just avoid those ones, but yeah. Anyway, there's the front. Look, I know it's kind of simple and plain, but there's something about this album that just screams Carcass. Like, very simple, no bullshit, no goes, like the medical things, and then you got the Carcass, which is sweet, and you go. There's the front, love that. Then the back, more tools, Tools of the Trade Getter. Maybe it was like paying homage to this, sort of. But yeah. Then the back again. Gatefold. Kind of the same image, which is that credits. No, it's the track listing, so there's that. And then this version is just, yep, double LP, both on black, super boring label, so I'm not going to bother pulling those out, but it does have a insert though, so that's cool. So here's all of the lyrics, so there you go. And then just another picture of that circular utensil thing. So again, if you gave up on Carcass after the kind of not great Swan Song, this is definitely a killer return to form, and honestly, I'm not gonna say one of my favorites because they only have like 6 or 7 albums, but I would say this is definitely, I would say, like exactly what I would want from Carcass if I heard it back then, but I didn't. I didn't hear it like a year or two later, but yep. Anyway, yeah, there you go. Like I said, there wasn't any of like the early grind stuff, but if you like the Necroticism and the Horror Work era, there's definitely a perfect mixture of those two styles, so check it out. Carcass, Surgical Steel. Alright, the last two, then we're done. Cheers again. So this is another band following up kind of a not fantastic album, but they didn't take a break in between the two albums, so I'm not sure what happened, but 2013. Suffocation, Pinnacle of Bedlam. So Blood Oath is honestly my least favorite Suffocation record. It's honestly the only one I think that's kind of boring, not bad, it's kind of like unmemorable and seemed to be uninspired, which I'm not sure what gave them the kick in the ass to make a better record. I hate to say it, but maybe it was Mark Smith leaving. But I don't want to say that because he's one of my favorite drummers. So I hate the fact that he wasn't on this album. But oh well, the tunes are great though. I mean, As Great Descends is definitely one of their best songs. Pinnacle of Bedlam, My Demise, Rhapsody Revocation, Cycles of Suffering, Stolen Days. Yep. I would say, well, the first three are my favorite, but I would say, honestly, after, like, of the full-length post Pierce From Within, if I had to pick a fourth, this is honestly number four, man. This record completely slays, so yep. And then I would say probably the first three, this, and then Souls to Deny, maybe, as far as, like, the five favorites, probably, but yeah, anyway, that's the front. Cool painting too. Then the back, this is let me show you that better, sorry. You got the tracks. Nuclear Blast, 2013, doesn't say what year, if it's a reissue or not. It just says the year it came out originally, so that's sweet. Gatefold, like I said, no Mike Smith, unfortunately, but oh well. You still got Terrence, though, that's the important part. Cool, almost like baby puke-ish green, so that's sweet. Yeah, man, definitely one of my favorites by Suffocation. Honestly, as far as like legacy death metal bands, one of the better albums by any of those bands later on in their career, which I will eventually do like a video on that topic, I guess. But oh well, we'll see. So, yep. Suffocation, Pinnacle of Bedlam, fucking banger, dude. This record slays. So there you go. My favorite after the first three. Alright, so let's end this on another high note. When this album came out, I knew it was gonna be good because this band doesn't make bad albums. I was gonna be like, oh, new album by them, cool. But I was not expecting to have my head completely ripped and be this impressed with their new album. Which also, this is probably my favorite album from 2017, and my favorite after their first four. So if I had to pick a number 5, it would be this. But I've seen people say this is their best record, period, and you could honestly make the argument. I wouldn't argue. It's almost like a greatest hits. So what am I talking about? Of course, from 2017, one of the best from that year. Immolation the Tournament. So I think Roger Korvik has mentioned this is his favorite Immolation record, which I can definitely see his point, because it's almost like a greatest hits. It's like all their styles were definitely on this record. So if you were to give someone the Immolation record and you want to give them one that has better production, honestly, this wouldn't be a bad one to start with, man. If you're not used to like the 90s death metal production, you want something to sound clear, this could honestly be a good album to introduce someone to Immolation with. So yep. Love the painting too. So anyway, probably, well, the album before this, what was it? Unholy Cult. It was good, but it had like the At the Gates of Seth through Nile problem, where it was produced kind of awkwardly and not very great. But the album 2010, wow, I'm drawing a blank on that one. I fucking have it. What's it called? It's gonna bug me. Blah blah blah. Majesty and Decay. That's probably my second favorite after the first four, but I still think this is the best of their like later material. But it's a perfect length too, even though there's a good amount of songs. You never get bored throughout this entire record, so very impressive to have an album that's very impressive to have an album that's 11 songs and you never get bored throughout the entire thing even once. So favorites on this: When the Jackals Come, Fostering the Divide, Destructive Currents, and Thrown into the Fire. But this whole album slays, so let me show you that again. Anyway, that's the front. And I've seen interviews where apparently they said they never intended to ditch the old logo, but the reason why they did was because they didn't feel like their OG logo actually matched some of the cover-up they were doing at the time. So that's kind of why they went for more like traditional block lettering ones, but oh well. Anyway, there's that. Gatefold, let me do this first. Cool full image. Let me show you the gatefold better. There's that, and then on the back you have like the tombstone with all of the albums, all the song titles rather. So like it's like The City Lying in Ruin, which is sweet. Like I said, 2017 Nuclear Blast, arguably my album of the year from 2017. I listened to this album so much that year, it was insane. Double LP, both in the sweet color though. I didn't order this. My local record store had a copy, so I bought it from them. So I got whichever version I wanted, but it came on a cool color, so that was also a bonus. And then the second LP is also the same, but I'm not going to bother showing that. But here is the other insert. There you go. Shame, man. This was definitely a huge surprise from 2017. This was definitely a kick in the... Another band that got a kick in the ass after following a not-so-great album, but yeah. Immolation Atonement, definitely one of the best of their entire discography, in my opinion. And that's it. Holy hell, this was an hour long. Man, this was a big one, but I kind of knew it was going to be a long video, so if you enjoyed my kind of rambling mood I was in tonight, thanks, I guess. So hopefully this was entertaining and you found something cool to check out. So not sure what I'll do next, but I always seem to say that, but I'm sure we'll figure something out. So thanks for watching. Take care. Peace out. Hails.